I remember one day, man, I was, at Stanford, and I was just, my cup had filled over, and I was like, I can't take this no more. I went outside, I walked, I cried, and I said, I think I have to walk away from this game. I think I got to walk away.
Entrepreneur now, businessman. What is something that you would coach them on?
I said something to my team that I was coaching at Mountain View High School. We were trying to learn how to win, and we were playing this team that were really good, and we were on the road, and my speech was, the only way we're going back is we're not going back. We're going to burn the ships right here.
That's it.
Because the only option is we're going to take over. It was out here. We're going to take over the land. So I, what I would say to any entrepreneur is that you got to have that mentality that no matter what, man, you're going to burn the ships, and no matter what, man, by any means necessary, we're going to get this done.
It's Mauricio Mejia live on YouTube.
All right, guys, we are back. It is Mauricio Mejia live inside of Studio B here in Silicon Valley, downtown San Jose. And today we got a special guest. Not only did he play professional football, was a professional coach, but that entrepreneurial spirit woke up at some point in life, and now he's here with us to share that story. I want to welcome TC to the show. What's happening, TC?
Oh, man, everything is happening. All is well.
A lot of things are happening. D2O, official water now of Mauricio Mejia Live, and there's a lot of things we're going to be talking about today, man. So,
it is, man. I'm excited.
But I got to get this hydration in. I was just talking about how good looking I felt in that camera, and I was like, damn, must be the water, man.
Yeah.
But
as they say, there's something in the water.
There's definitely something in the water, my brother. Before we dive in, we talk about a lot of different things here on the show. And, for the audience, for people that don't know, we like to take it back to the roots. Yeah. Born and raised, and, where the journey started for you. So share with the audience out there in the world, kind of your background here.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a long time coming. I love what you do.
Thank you.
Big ups, man. Super inspiring. As a journey person or a journeyman, always looking to get better, right? Yeah. Always looking to learn. So I appreciate the content and what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard work.
It is definitely hard work.
Every show, I always feel like it's my first show,
just
because I always get the butterflies before I start, because I ask myself, I'm like, what am I going to talk about, right? Because I don't want to script things. I want it to flow naturally. And really, I just want to know, I just want to get to know other people's story.
Yeah. Because
we all got a story. We all got a journey. We all have been through a lot to get to where we're at.
Correct.
So, why not?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. So for me, from Cleveland, Ohio, I grew up on the road, less travel, single parent home. I've seen a lot in my lifestyle. I was raised traditionally from my grandparents, so I got a chance to meet my great grandmother, my great grandfather. And so I got a chance to spend time with them early on in my age. So I saw a lot of traditions that were kind of leading into the family as those pillars of family start to, fall off a little bit due to whatever reasons, old age. But for me, my journey started with just being introduced to a road less travel, man. Learning how to pick myself up, definitely work hard, definitely stay in my own box and always be friendly to people. And that's kind of, how I kind of live my life throughout. But yeah, a lot of trials and tribulations, single parent home, dad wasn't around. So
any siblings?
Yeah. So okay. I have 3 sisters, and a brother,
okay.
From my father's side and then from my mom's side. And so definitely not a big family inside of the household because we were divided. Dad had his family over here and, my sister and I kind of grew up. We're 4 years apart. So that was pretty interesting.
Is she younger or older?
She's younger.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
younger. So we already have a commonality. I have a younger sister, single mom. Dad wasn't around, but, hey, we turned out to be some great people, bud. So,
yeah.
We just got to roll with what we got.
Absolutely. I felt like, when you have a younger sister, and depending on how, our circumstances was, but I had to grow up fast. So I had to take care of my sister and make sure that she was protected. She had, asthma really bad, so she would get emotional and have an asthma attack, right? So I had to learn how to cope with that. And like I said, it was just a lot of learning on the learning curve, you know what I mean? Just on the fly. And, my mom did a great job of teaching me how to be responsible at a young age. But yeah, raising a little sister was interesting. As we got older, she turned into something else in a good way.
How is it growing up in Cleveland, Ohio?
Man, Cleveland is a city where it's extremely difficult, especially, during the 90s, 80s to 90s where things started to change in the community. The crack pack epidemic and drugs infested and stuff like that. It just became interesting as the time changed. Sometimes in your own neighborhood, right around the corner from you, your neighbors. Yeah. So it was just, it was, I would say, survival of the fittest. Making sure you stay in your lane and definitely put your head down and continue to work and be honest, man. Be honest and loyal. That's huge for us. So, it was just a learning curve, man. It was a trial by day.
What do you think that were some of the things that gave you the survival skills, or kept you away from probably going down a bad path? I mean, when you're in areas that are infested with drugs, crime, and crime can cover all kinds of different areas. What do you think it is that was probably something that helped you steer away from that kind of environment?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of experience and definitely sports. Okay. I love to compete. I love to prove myself that, I can hang with the best of them. And so, that's kind of how I lived like every day, whether if it was basketball, baseball, football, whether if it was racing, whether if it was tag, like whatever it was, I was always just super competitive. And then experiencing like different people who come from a variety of backgrounds, like some people that I grew up with, they had troubled homes. Some of them didn't. And so having that mixed crowd to be able to see how they live and how they are treated by their peers and their mom, or dad, right? Mother and father household versus non,
right?
Allowed me to kind of gain these variety of experiences to see, okay, what's real and what's not. And so it just kept me going, and sports always kept me competitive and kind of dialed into like something other than, that's leads you down the wrong path. You know what I'm saying? So, I just give credit to the experience and then, just sports, man, sports and reading.
I think that was one of the things that kept me off the streets too, was the sports. I played all sports. I loved baseball, football, basketball. I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and I said, basketball, I just felt that I was too short. But again, it's in my head, right? Because there's been some great short players. But football was definitely, baseball, ran track. And that's what really helped keep me off of the streets, was keeping me busy, right?
Yeah.
And then while mom worked, to keep, a roof over our heads and food on the table, right? Yeah. Then playing big brother to my younger sister. So it helped being and growing up in those environments.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to the survival of the fittest, where you have to learn to, at a young age, right? I don't want to say your innocence gets taken away, but you definitely learn that you got to be tough in the streets.
Absolutely.
Because the streets will eat you up. The streets don't discriminate. People discriminate, but the streets, it's a different beast.
It's a different beast. What it, I think, what it does is it heightens your senses, right?
Yes.
So like where to go, where not to go, what time to go, what time not to go. So I think it just, being in those environments really works on your street etiquette,
right?
And just the awareness of where your environment is. And so, because you never know. I mean, you can go around the corner left and something catastrophic can happen or not, or you can be the nicest person in the world. So you always just have to kind of be on your guard. And at the same time, when you see good people, right, you create relationships with good people and you keep those relationships.
How was coming up in school? Because school's got tough environment possibly, or, how was the school environment for you?
Yeah, it was interesting because during my middle school days to high school, like it was a wave, right? I mean, it was just a transition. Gangs were really popular. Territory was starting to grow off of the gangs. And so it just became like this phenom where people started to click up a little bit more. And it was easy for people to gang up against one person. You know what I mean? So you kind of had to keep alliances with everybody or just stay in your lane. So you learned that early, right? It didn't matter, what school you went to, like it was there. Right, it was there.
And for me, it's kind of interesting to think about that. I grew up in a big city, so I can see that in a big city. I'm not saying that Ohio's not a big city, but it is a small city, and but you think about those kind of environments develop even in small cities or small towns.
Yeah.
And then the clicking, right? All of a sudden you have to associate with somebody. Why do you think that environment happens in those smaller communities? Because you don't. I mean, there's small populations.
Yeah.
You know what do you think happens?
Man, that's a great question. For me, just based off experience, I think it comes from how you were raised and where culturally, like, your environment was, right? So if you were missing some links in your household, whether if you couldn't afford to keep your lights on or the heat on, or not even having food in your refrigerator, I think it just created a natural animosity toward whatever. And so you're looking for that sense of belonging to some kind of group.
Yes.
And so I just learned early on, man, like, I was pulled in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Come over here, be with us, come over here, do this. And I think the deciding factor for me was when I had to fight one of my good friends, childhood friends. We were, 10 years old. And I was hanging around with this kid, you know what I mean? He was my guy. Like, he was my adolescent friend. And he decided to join, and he came from a really good background, man. Had, older siblings to look after. Mom and dad worked, you know what I mean? Nice house. And he had joined and was like, okay, if you want to join to be with him, you got to fight him. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, why? I got to fight my boy? Like, and then they going to jump me for the rest. And I was like, okay, let me do this. I don't know math that well, but the numbers don't add up. You know what I'm saying?
Something is not right here.
Something not right,
Yeah.
But, you just be in all these situations and, you just have to, I think for me and other people, I think it's a lot of pressure and a lot of things that kind of inspire or influence the sense of belonging. And so, being part of another family, right, is kind of like all of us. We love that feeling, as being associated and connected with somebody else.
Interesting. When I was growing up in the streets of LA, for me it was, and I saw that fork in the road at a young age. Junior high, the middle school kind of era, where I started to see the gangs and the cliques, and I for a little bit kind of veered to the left here and went down the wrong path. And when my boys ratted me out, kind of thing, I was like, that's when I realized I knew that this wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So I had to course correct, and then when I course corrected, came back to the center, I then found that growing up in Los Angeles, that during the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s, that music and entertainment and the glitz and glamours of Hollywood, were very predominant in Southern California. So I fell in love with music, and I fell in love with at a young age I got exposed to nightlife. So for me, that became my family. That nightlife and that fun. So I don't want to say I went left again, but I definitely went in a different direction that was, started to plant the seeds to where I ended up now today, many years later. I became very predominant in the entertainment industry, music entertainment world, and I just dominated and conquered that universe. Because, again, my competitiveness, which goes back to you being competitive, right? You're growing up in an environment that's requiring you to be tough. Where was that fork in the road for you?
Man, I have to go back, man. Literally,
we got time.
yeah, literally. So I used to go to an elementary school on certain days. It was like on a Tuesday evening. And the elementary school that I went to was like literally probably about, a mile and a half, 2 miles away. And my mom, she sometimes didn't care where I went as long as I was accompanied by somebody who she knew. Because back in the day, you could go out and trust somebody, right, and you're good. Now that's not happening in this world. But I went to this open gym, and I was watching a lot of older guys play because I was always a student. I just loved to be around a game, so I used to always look and see what it looked like. And so we had a couple studs in our community that were really good, that could dunk a basketball. And for me, like dunking on the 10-foot rim, like that was huge. But that's when I was introduced to like physicality. And you know, we would go up on the stage while they were playing basketball, old school cafeteria, right, where you play basketball and you eat at the same place.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and
They
they had
roll out the tables.
roll out the
Yeah,
tables, right?
Yeah.
And so they had these mats that, you know, we would use to do gymnastics during class when we practiced. So nobody was using them. So I throw them out there and I fall on the mats. And I had this older kid who was a prominent dealer in our neighborhood that I kind of looked up to.
Not a car dealer, right?
No, not a
Drug
car
dealer,
dealer.
right?
Drug
Yeah,
dealer.
there we
yeah.
go. I just want to clarify.
Not a car dealer.
We don't got to censor ourselves here. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate that. And you know,
People do that. They used to do that. They still, you know, it's not new. So
it's nothing new.
we got to expose this world to, you know, sometimes, you know, us growing up, we were exposed to that stuff at a young age.
We were,
Yeah.
right. And he actually sold drugs in our household, right, to my mom. So,
Oh, wow.
he kind of was like, "Oh, you want to play football?" And I was like, "Yeah." You know, so he's like, "All right, try to get past me." So I tried to run right through him. Obviously, he took me, slammed me down to the ground. I started crying. Right? He was like, "Oh, you want to play football? You can't cry." Like, no, you know, I ain't being mean.
Yeah.
You just can't cry.
Yeah.
Because you got to get up and go again. So I said, you got to, you know, so I got up, tried to go through him again, slam me down to the ground. I'm like, why are you being so rough with me? He was like, look, you got to go around. You got to make a move. You got to do something. So that's when I started learning how to like compete. You know what I mean? Like, and then I liked it because right after I made a move, and it was a kid versus a 16, 17-year-old, teenager.
Yeah.
So to me, I moved fast. To him, okay, I'll give him this one. But he celebrated with me, and that right there allowed me to experience victory. And from that sense on, that's where kind of the birth of like competition began for me. Like,
Interesting when you say that, right? He celebrated with you.
he celebrated
He
with me.
taught you something.
He taught me something.
And yet he was doing something on the other side of the tracks, man.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if he had some guidance at a younger age, or had somebody click something. Because to me, what I just thought of is even my own personal experience when the gentleman that taught me or clicked the entrepreneurial spirit for me. I was 15 years old, slanging stickers at a 7-Eleven because I wanted to play video games.
Oh, nice.
And I remember the gentleman said to me, African-American gentleman out of Inglewood, said to me, he goes, son, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, what am I doing? He goes, you got an entrepreneurial spirit. He goes, keep doing it. And me, not knowing the word, I asked, I said, well, what does an entrepreneurial spirit mean? He says, just keep doing what you're doing, stay consistent, and you're going to do some great things.
That's powerful.
Boom.
Yeah.
So from 15 on, what that did was turn on that curiosity, right? It's that challenge he did for you, or that statement he said to you, turned on your competitiveness. You juked him, and you got around, and then he celebrated. The gentleman was kind enough to stop and say those kind words to me. I don't want to. He celebrated the future with me by saying, "Hey, continue doing what you're doing, and you'll do great things in the future." I take that as a celebration,
Absolutely.
because he saw something that I didn't see, and boom, you know, look where I'm at today. Look at where you're at today, right? So this guy opens you up and cracks you open and opens up that competitiveness. What happens next?
From there, I just had to learn how to be a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Just go from being a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old and try to deal with my circumstances that I was dealing with at home. And, you know, the reason why I got into coaching was because I wanted to make sure that every kid had an opportunity that I didn't have, which is somebody that was strategically with intention trying to help you get better, right? And so I learned just a valuable lesson, man, just to continue to just strive forward. Yeah. And then I I learned my lessons hanging around older kids. You know, when I turned 11, 12, I wanted to hang with the older kids, the 14, 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah, you want to be cool.
I wanted to be cool, right?
you wanna be
They
cool.
smoke cigarettes. I want to be around people who smoke cigarettes, not necessarily smoke cigarettes,
Right,
but,
right,
you know,
right.
I was tempted to try.
Yeah.
But, you know, you just put yourself in situations because you feel like you're not getting that experience or you're not growing up fast enough. And I want to be with these guys because, you know, I can or I want to.
Yeah.
Right? So I just started to learn who I am and who I wanted to become.
So you started playing sports then in high school then as well, right?
I started when I was 5 years old.
Okay, so you've been playing sports all along.
Yeah.
You've had that. Someone challenges you. You get to this. You wake up this competitiveness is another level, right? The next level. Junior high, high school. Let's get into the are you playing multiple sports or
yeah.
so?
Yeah, I was playing football, basketball, and track. I was a really good baseball player. I can just do it all.
What position?
Shortstop,
I was
catcher.
shortstop.
Yeah, catcher, and then I
Can't do
pitched.
okay.
Yeah. But my first position was outfield because I had an arm. I
Okay.
could throw the ball from
Yeah.
all the way where I'm at out in the outfield, all the way to home plate. And it just started a journey. And as you grow up in the city, baseball is not the most celebrated sport in our neighborhood. So if you're not playing football or basketball, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
So football and basketball
You're just
became.
standing out there, just waiting for the ball.
You're just waiting for the ball, right? And then try walking down the street with a baseball bat in your hand, see if you don't get picked on, or a couple people come up to you and say, "What you doing?" So it was just dodging that, man, and it just birthed something in me, especially basketball. You mentioned basketball.
Yeah.
I feel like basketball is the ultimate sport where no matter what team you're on or how 5-on-5, 1-on-1 setting you're in, you always have to prove yourself against the person across to you.
Yeah.
And it's more like a learning on the fly. It's not like football. Football is you call this play. Okay, now you match up and A and B will happen. Now you have to plan for C and D. Basketball is like you don't know. There's no guarantee that B is going to happen. So you're always constantly
You just got to get the
adjusting.
ball. You got to get the ball to
in the rim or
rim.
make the right pass, right?
Yeah.
So you have your A, B, C's, but it just requires more instinct. And so I became really like overzealous and obsessive with playing against good talent or better talent than I was to see how can I prove myself to be as good, if not better.
Yeah.
And that just started the whole, I play any sport.
Got it. Well, ultimately, what sport was it that you really ran with?
Football.
Okay.
I mean, I ran track too, and I fell in love with track, right? Because it was the individual side, which I think prepared for entrepreneurship, maybe, just mentally, how to tap in mentally. But football was the one I honed into. I learned a lot through the game.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And still learning. It's just it's infinite. And you don't realize what you learn until you get older and you look back and realize all the things you had to overcome to get to a certain level. Yeah. And then to see other athletes that I've coached playing and, professionally, it's an unbelievable thing when you start to reflect.
You've been blessed to play at the highest level, the professional level. What is it that made you different in high school and then college? What because to get into the professionals, I mean, it's like hitting the lottery. Not everyone gets that opportunity, and there's some great players and great people that should be in there that are not. But it's because of it's just very 1% different than someone else. What is it that drove you to? I mean, did you even plan to get into the professional, or you just? I mean, because sometimes there's even people that don't even plan it. I'm not calling you out on that, but some people, they just don't plan it. They're just natural. They have that in them, right? And they just get there, and they don't even know how they got there. And it's I don't know.
I grew up around a lot of gifted players.
Okay.
Ohio was one of the birthplaces of football.
Okay.
That's where the first professional team was installed. So there's a lot of tradition in Ohio. And for me, I saw it. And, for me, I knew I wanted to play some kind of professional sport. I wanted to play professionally. Yeah. Grew up with Michael Jordan, right? Nice. That was the guy, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, like all of the greats. Like I never discriminated against one person. I was like, I like all these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because I love the game. Even in football, John Elway to Warren Moon to Emmitt Smith to Barry Sanders. Like I liked everybody.
I grew up with all. Those are all my like.
Those
are that's the
our
era.
Yeah. It was like everybody was great.
All of those guys, Michael Jordan,
Chris
Gary
Carter,
Payton,
Randy Moss. You just start naming. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Jack Tatum. You can go down the line, and I think for me, what really started to show up was how serious I am about it. And I knew that if I was going to make it out of my environment and do something special for my family, for myself, to prove that I deserve a shot or that I belong, that I was going to have to work, right? And I was going to have to prove it. I wasn't the top talent, but I worked really hard. You wasn't going to outwork me. And I learned about work ethic really early. Yeah. Because,
it's interesting because everyone that I bring on the show, we always talk about work ethic. We always touch on it, and that's just what gets us to where we're at in life is work ethic, consistency, and work ethic. And when you say that, it's just such a common phrase in here is work ethic.
Yeah, it's work ethic, and then as you continue to work, you start to discover different subsidies that tie into that, right? Discipline, drive, the opportunity, the sacrifices, you know what I mean? And high school, I made sacrifices, man. I didn't date, you know what I mean? I was like focused. My first experience is in middle school. I was going to the 8th grade, and there was a 6th grader that was pregnant.
Wow.
And so for me, I looked at that and I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like 6th grade, pregnant.
Yeah.
Life is over.
13 years old, man.
Life is not 6th grade.
Yeah.
You're at 12.
Jesus. Yeah,
11.
That's
That's
crazy.
11, 12 years old, man. And for me, I saw
baby.
that. And that's when they had home ec in high school, right? So for mothers and all that stuff. And that was my first time seeing that. And I was like, man, I can't go down that road. And early on, I went through that vision of like having a baby, right? And being 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, taking care of a kid. I was like, I'm still a kid myself, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't compromise and put myself in that position. So that kind of drove the work ethic because I had no other distractions, and adversity tried to show up. People thought I was, interested in men only and things of that nature. And I'm like, no, it didn't bother me none because I knew my orientation.
Yeah.
But, it just drove me and was like, yeah, you don't understand. You don't understand.
I'm focused.
Yeah, I got to get an education, and I'm trying to go to play professional, have my opportunity.
Nice. Was that definitely a target in your mind? You wanted to go pro?
It was.
And pro for football, or did you have other sports in mind? Or
I had it all in mind, man.
Got you.
So
okay.
I was like, I want to play professional in some capacity. I saw Earl Boykins play in middle school, right? And Earl Boykins is 5'6", and he was a dominant player. I've never seen anybody that small dominate a game, right? And he was MVP, Player of the Year, at Eastern Michigan. He was a staple that we grew around, that we had the chance to witness.
Yeah.
Much like seeing LeBron play. I saw him play in high school. Like when you see talent like that, man, you just look at that and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
These guys, they work, right? And don't get me wrong, they're God gifted with their size, no matter if they're small or big. They're gifted.
Right. Yeah.
But what they do with it is really what started to kind of like start that everything is possible. Like it's possible. It is possible. It can happen for you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen for you, right?
you just got to have the right mindset.
mindset.
You got to have that desire, and again, at the end of the day, you got to put in that work.
You got to put in the work,
And that's, I think, what makes the difference between the people that talk about it and the people that actually do it, and then get there.
Yeah.
So all right. So then, college. What university did you end up?
Yeah, I went to a small school,
Okay.
Ashland University. I had some small offers, coming out, but back then they had Prop 48, and so I didn't have an ACT score. So I had the grades. I had a GPA, 3.5, 3.6 GPA. But when you're in the inner city, you have to prepare for an SAT, and I was so busy trying to just live life and trying to survive that really making the sacrifice to study for an ACT was secondary. I thought that I can get there on my own, and I missed it by a half a point or whatnot just to be eligible. And I drug my feet a little bit because I didn't have anybody in the back saying, hey, make sure you take it, make sure you go do this, hey, study, do this. It was kind of like you had to find out on your own. So that road became a road less traveled, right, where you just try to figure it out.
Very familiar.
So Ashland came to me. I played in the All-Star game. In this All-Star game, there were probably about 89, 90% commits. Everybody was going. Michigan, Ohio State, like they were gone. These guys were going places, and I didn't have an offer. It was like maybe 3 of us. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go out here and prove that I belong on this field.
Yeah.
And I did. And Ashland University came up to me and said, hey, we think you can play for us. We would be interested in having you play for our program. And I was like, absolutely, what I got to do, right? So forget all the offers that I had, the speculative offers or potentials. I just committed because I wanted to play all 4 years, and I wanted to go to a place where I can reach my potential, and whether if it was Division I, II, or III, I just wanted to play ball. I grew up in a time where my uncles would tell me like, man, the school don't make you. You make the school.
Yes.
If the school is terrible, go to the school and make it great.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough. And sounds like a challenge to me.
Yeah.
I love challenges, so let's go.
Seems like that becomes the motivator, the fuel that fuels the fire, and then takes you to that, gives you that drive that you want to take it to the next level. So you commit to this university. Do you do the full 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, before you go professional, do you go into a draft, or did you get drafted?
I didn't get drafted.
Give us that.
Man.
What does that look like?
So what it looks like is, first of all, my senior year was a lot of pressure.
Okay.
Right. And I welcome the pressure. So I have to date back to
that one out
how it started.
You love that challenge.
Oh, man.
Constant challenge.
The challenge, man. So the challenge number one, and this what led to how the whole situation just kind of grew and started to inspire belief, was the summer before my senior year. Our season had just lost a lot of people. And so the rule is you can stay on campus and just train or work out according to the schedule, or you can go home. I sacrificed and said, I don't want to go home. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to give it everything I got. So I go into the season. I'm preseason All-American. I play the season. I get 9 interceptions in 1 year, 4 in 1 game. I play offense and defense, all special teams. I have kick returns for touchdowns. I'm killing it. I play some, in the GLIAC former conference. We had a lot of great players, and some of those players played years in the NFL. I happened to go to the All-Star game where we went down to Texas A&M Kingsville, which was an amazing experience. All 32 teams were there recruiting us. We went through an official combine where, we went through all the woes of what it takes, right. which was mind-boggling to me because it was a different experience. I was like, oh, this is a combine. This is what it is, right? You walk in the room and you have nothing but, your tights on. You know what I mean? You're walking through all these men with no pads, and they're looking at you, and they're looking you up and down.
It's like a fucking like a stock.
Yeah,
you're watching.
It was an evaluation to the fullest, right?
Man,
they're measuring your hands, they're measuring your arms, your legs, everything. You know what I mean?
Full stats.
And then that led into playing an All-Star game and having an opportunity to enter into the draft. And I went through 2-3 agents at the time because, I don't know any better, right? Nobody's calling me. I have to go out and seek now. And then I ended up, going to the draft, and, before the draft, teams will bring you in. So the Cleveland Browns brought me in on a private workout with some other great players that got drafted. And that's when I got a chance to meet Dave Campo and a couple other coaches. They were like, man, you're a good talent, man. And, we can sign you into some capacity. That was what was relayed to me. So draft goes, don't get picked. You know what I mean? And I ended up having like a cup of tea with the Cleveland Browns, and then went straight from there to the Arena League. And for me, the NFL was the level that I wanted to get at. However, I never wanted to be an all-pro player. So for me, I just wanted to get there. So what happened is my prayers in my life, my mindset went from just playing at the professional level. I don't care what level it is, CFL, AFL, NFL, Europe, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Played 7 years in arena football and loved it. Went both ways. Ironman football, jobs were decided on if you could play defense and offense, and I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I love when somebody say, okay, I got to guard this number 1 receiver who played 7 years in the NFL. I loved it. And then it was like, oh, well, guess what? He has to guard me.
So there's
good luck
in the indoor arena football leagues. There's ex-NFL people that are.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean that
I
was
no idea. I didn't know.
That was the most joy is being able to play against guys who you at one point knew were the guys at their college. Joe Germain from Ohio State, right, leading quarterback. Ahmed, it just former first-round draft picks. Just all over the place. You be in the camp and, I just got cut by the Ravens. You know what I mean? I was there for 6 years or 3 years. And it was just being in that room with greatness. You just knew that you belonged,
It just shows you, right? I mean, even at the highest level, right? You put in some time and you can wake up one day and be like, what happened?
What happened?
What happened?
What happened? I mean,
and your body goes through all this abuse.
Yeah. And it's the football is a young man's game,
Mm.
and it's if you can afford to be a warrior, then it's a game for you, And I think for us, once we taste the football and in arena football, what it gave us is a life to be able to play the game and enjoy it with its freedom, And the NFL will do that at some point, but you just have to earn it because every year, right, 350 prospects go every year. That's not including the guys that are undrafted free agents that come into camp, right? So, those rosters, you start off with 89, 90 people.
Wow.
They got to cut it down to a 55-man roster, right? So the numbers become so large but small at the same time.
Yeah.
That, sometimes you feel like your life is over when you don't make the team, and life actually just begins.
It's interesting while you're saying all of that. It gives me like an anxiety, like to think of, right? To think of like you're not only have you been competing all the way to get to that point, but then when you're even at that point, you're still having to compete because you're competing against other people just to make the roster for the season.
Yeah, and it's never personal, right? These coaches, they fall in love with you, but at the end of the day, it's can you perform, right? Can you get the job done? Do I feel confident that you can do it, right? When you're going against this guy over here that runs a 4.240 or 6.5 or 6.6, right? It just becomes like, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it. But it forces you to go into places, and it forces you to go into some dark places if you really want it. And I say dark places meaning you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're an entrepreneur, right? You've been in a situation where you're like, whoa, okay, this is new, right? And my God, I don't know how I'm going to take care of this. I have no idea. But somehow, some way, you figure it out.
I mean, when you said that, my body just chilled. Like I got the chills from head to toe, because yes, that's the game that I wake up to every day, and it's always every day is a new day. It's a new game. And whatever happened yesterday doesn't matter because today is what counts. Yep. And I always try to play it at the highest level, because again, whatever happens today happens today.
It happens today.
And if I can carry it on for tomorrow, then great. So, during your football career, did you do any international, or you just did basically NFL and then indoor arena?
Yeah, I just played arena football.
Okay.
Shortly after the NFL didn't work out, and I had some opportunities to go back. True story. I was down in Austin playing for Deion Sanders' team, and that was the first time I met Primetime, man.
Okay.
Who's a phenomenal guy. Everybody knows Prime is phenomenal. But he invited us out to his house, and we had some dinner. And I remember he came into our locker room after we went to his house. He came into our locker room, and he just sat with the DBs. And he just was like, man, y'all are in a perfect situation. You guys just don't understand. And he's breaking his knowledge down. And he's like, man, you guys can do it. And I literally was inches, like seconds away from saying, Coach Ryan, you want to race? Because I felt good, 26 years old, right? 27 years old. I'm at the top of my career. I just popped out a 4.25 for the Denver Broncos. I'm good to go. I think I can beat Prime. And I didn't. The thing that he said to me was, I said, Mr. Sanders, and he just stopped me in my tracks and said, don't call me Mr. Sanders, man. I'm just Deion. And that right there just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I just stayed with it. I had some opportunities to go, and that year, I was actually headed to the Redskins. Okay. And that week, Sean Taylor was killed, and didn't hear back from the Redskins until 20 years later. So it just everything happens for a reason, right? And I was where I was supposed to be, at, and the NFL for me, I felt like it was an enjoyable experience, and I still get to enjoy it through certain things that I'm doing right now in my life. And, I support the NFL, with whatever they're doing, in terms of promoting health for the game and the right reasons. And it's entertainment, man. It's good ball out there. So I'm a student first. So
it's interesting how all professional sports are turning entertainment, well, it's a version of entertainment. So you go through your career and then you pivot. You decided to go into coaching.
Yeah.
But it seems like coaching has kind of been in your blood. It's, even starting from a young point of your life, you've had that kind of, it's a leadership skill.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an internal leadership that, now you just labeled it. Now you're a coach. Okay. But you had that natural leadership already inside of you. So what happens next?
Yeah, it was interesting to that you say that, because naturally I enjoyed like just helping others within the game, right? And as I continued to go, I started to learn things about the game. I started to learn things about organization. I started to learn things about leadership, about, when you go in as a freshman, you're looking at these seniors or juniors and sophomores that are older than you to teach you the way, to show you what all this stuff means. And, when you either get it or don't get it, you start to realize, like, wait, okay, I was expecting a little something different, right? And so now you start to work on yourself. So I think those leadership skills started to develop during that whole time that I was meeting the older crowd, the guys that were there before me that was already established, right? I remember I went to college, and I went in, and I'm like 150, 165 pounds wet, right? But I can jump. My vertical was like a 44 and a half. And my bench press, I've never lifted anything over, 205 pounds. So, my 225, I can only hit it like 2-3 times because I wasn't used to lifting. And I met a safety that was 6 foot, 220 pounds, 215 pounds. And I was like, this is a safety, right? And I was like, man, he's like almost double my size.
Yeah.
But I learned a valuable lesson in that moment because he was a junior. And so he had been putting in work. And so it just kind of translated and kept translating at every level, which allowed me to get into the coaching capacity and see all these things and bring it now to the person who's now sitting in that seat that I once was, that's trying to get to the next level or trying to work to try to whatever, be the best version of themselves. And it kind of, it gives me a great feeling to know that I helped somebody get there.
Yeah. I think that I've seen it now, even when I mentor or share ideas with other people that I want to see be successful or better themselves in whatever path they're in. The joy that I get out of that. There's nothing like that feeling to see, and then to see them accomplish their what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
How long? How long did you coach for, and then I know you had a stint with Stanford for a minute there too. So let's talk.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanford is not just some any school, brother. That's it's one of the top universities in the country. You know, with a great program. I mean, you got some great coaches that came out of there, some great players that have come out of there.
Absolutely.
Anybody significant come out of that era that you were there?
I mean, a lot. We had Christian McCaffrey during the time that I was there, Solomon Thomas, Justin Reed, Quentin Meeks, Elijah Holder, Bobo Ekeriki, who was playing for the Giants, Paulson Adebo. The list can keep going on and on and on. We had a lot of great players, and shout out to the staff, to the organization, to the department, man. I mean, during that time, it was just, you wouldn't want to be with a better program in the country because of the way that they played the game. And that was something that I appreciated being from Ohio. They were very intentional with how they played the game.
Got it.
And I loved it. There's not a place where you can be where it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, back against the wall. Everybody knows what we're going to do, and you still get the first down. Like, it was something that I was like, now that's ball, right? That is ball. You know what I mean? And, we used to get in the thing and, like, we worry about them sticking our signals. It's like, I don't give a shit. They have to stop it, right? And it's like, point taken, right? That's what I'm talking about. So it was just a phenomenal experience, man. I worked really hard to get to that point. But I started, when I came to California, I was playing with the SaberCats. And I was asked to speak to a high school in Los Altos. There were some men, young men that were kind of getting into the gang situation. And so I went to a Christian group where it was Christian ASB, like a club that they brought in people to help speak to these kids. So I spoke to the kids there, and I met these 2 brothers. And these 2 brothers changed my life because for once I saw something in them that I saw in myself. And so it was a young brother and an older brother, an older brother and a younger brother. And the older brother was very passionate. He was undersized, but he was just passionate. You can just see it in his eyes when I was talking. He was crying. And his other brother, his younger brother, was kind of playing this fence where he wanted to be in the street life. So when I spoke to him, he was like, TC, thank you. And literally, I called my friend to check up on him. He was like, yeah, I think the younger brother's coming out for football, because he wasn't going to do it. He was in the street life. Yeah. So that's how it started my coaching campaign. I started coaching at, different high schools in the Bay Area. And I was always at Stanford back pocket. I was always going to like free stuff, volunteering my time. It took me 7 years to get that job, man. It took me 7 years of volunteering to get an opportunity to be in that atmosphere of excellence.
What happens after you hit these pinnacles in your life, right? Seems like you had a great career in high school. You had a great career in your university years, and then you dabbled in the pro world. Pinnacle. It's like a win, and then you get into coaching, which that's a win too because now you're making an impact on others,
Yeah.
right? What happens? What's the pivot when you decide that one day that just stops?
Yeah, man.
Because and the reason why I ask is I'd love to know the back end because what I see now with what you're building and what you're doing, that entrepreneurial spirit that woke up somewhere. Do you even know when that thing woke up, or is it, or did it really just truly happen after you've hit all these wins in your life and you're trying to figure out what's the next step?
Wow, man. I think it was always there, but I think what really changed my life was my family. I was coaching, and when you're coaching, you spend a lot of time gone. I was always gone. I was always on the road recruiting, breaking down film, getting ready for the next opponent. Spent a lot of hours in the office. And often I grew up without a dad. I barely grew up with a mom. And so for me, when I started to have success in coaching, I also started to fail because I wasn't able to be a dad, right? I wasn't able to be a husband. I wasn't able to be a brother. I was just on the grind 24/7 going after the career. I remember one day, man, I was, at Stanford, and I was just, my cup had filled over, and I was like, I can't take this no more. I went outside, I walked, I cried, and I said, I think I have to walk away from this game. I think I got to walk away.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate. So you're going through this awakening.
Oh, it was hard, man.
Yeah.
Because I had to make a choice, and then, I also had, a couple campaigns in the NFL where, I had some internships with, the Broncos and Redskins where it was turning into something more permanent. And I was actually offered a job to stay. And I literally had to make a decision, do I take it or do I not? And so I was blessed that they kept me on for a little while, but I had to shut it down. I couldn't take it because of the lifestyle that it came with. And, you could be at one program, especially in the NFL, it's like, if you're not winning, you got to get up out of there, right? It's, maybe a year. I moved my family to Denver or Washington, and then we have a losing season, and now we're both out of a job. And I just couldn't live a life like that. And I didn't think it was conducive to being a dad to my kids. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy to think, right? I mean, we look at it from the outside, and you look from the outside in, it looks like glamorous and exciting, right? But there's a lot of uncertainty on it all.
Yeah.
I mean, from the players to the coaches to,
Across the board.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And then on top of that, as a young man who's dedicated majority of his life to the game, which is very selfish in a sense because you have to be selfish. You got to put in the work. You got to work out. You wake up at 2 a.m, go hit the gym. You have these selfish ambitions that you just go through. At the end of the day, like, you still have to work on yourself, right? And so when I talk about being a dad, what does that look like? Because that is a whole different exercise. Then what about being a husband? That's a whole different exercise because now you go from being selfish to now I got to think about this person and I got to think about this person. And I think it just, for me, it was either you make the decision now or you make it later when you're signing your divorce papers and finding another person that you have to now learn how to appreciate.
The choices we all make. The choices. Interesting you say that. So, at what point, where in your career or in your life did you decide you wanted to start a family?
Man, I think it was shortly after my last year playing.
Okay.
I think I was going into my second to last year before I retired. And I was like, okay, it's the same old routine, right? 27 years old, and, next year I'll be 28, and next year I'll be 29, and I have no family. I have nobody who I'm serious with, and I think it just became a mold where I was like, okay, I'm ready to settle down, and I'm ready to, go to the next phase of life and what that looks like, and slow down a little bit, and optimistically I was like, oh, I can do both, right? I can have a family, and then I can play, but it doesn't work that way.
It's interesting.
It does for some.
It's interesting how we're programmed, right, to think that we hit a certain age and we have to. I look at life now just because of life experiences, and I look back and I don't regret the decisions that I have made. I think that there is consequences for the choices that we do make.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that once we see what the consequence is, consequence doesn't mean it has to be negative. Consequence, or
Correct.
just let's just call it the reality of what happens from your decisions,
Right.
good or bad. You decide that you're this family man. You're making these decisions, and now you're reflecting. You're looking. You've been blessed to have positions and opportunities that people only think and dream of. They don't. They haven't experienced them, right?
Yeah.
And you decide that you want to walk away from the sport, and then you decide that you want to walk away from the coaching.
Yeah. And
at the highest, you're playing at the highest level, and you're coaching at the highest level now too. What's brewing in your mind of what's next? Because you're playing life at the highest level.
Yeah.
So your next move has to be at the highest level too.
It has to be. I removed myself early enough to where I can kind of start all over and figure out which way I wanted to go. So that's essentially what I did. I started all over, start working in a position to understand. Like I start working in fundraising. I'm never afraid to ask for money. I've never been that way. In my off season,
I'm not.
in my off season,
I'm fundraising every day.
Every day, right? In my off season, I used to do my own like football camps for kids that was free. I used to do it on myself. I used to go out and hustle and get my own dollars and put on these small little, boutique football camps to give back to my community. And I would go out and ask everybody, right? Nike, Gatorade, whatever. I just ask them like, hey, could you help my camp? I'm just trying to provide an opportunity for these kids. And, some people say yes, some people say no. And so for me, I was like, I can do that, right? And so I started doing fundraising. And then I started thinking like there has to be more to life. And for me, I'm very ambitious. So I have to be involved in projects that allows me to hone into my leadership skills.
Yeah.
And I feel like fundraising doesn't do that, to a certain level. So I started, getting into entrepreneurship. My granddad drove a truck for 53 years. And so for me, that was inspiring because he owned a business and never built it out to the capacity in which he could, because he grew up in a time frame where it's like, nah, this is what you do to take care of your family, period.
Yeah.
So for me, man, I was like, starting a business. Let's see how this goes, right? And little did I know.
Jump off the cliff. You jump off the cliff and you build a plane on the way down.
On the way down. And I started building, brother. I mean, I was putting it together and I'm like, oh, wait, where's your wheels? Where's your wings, right?
This thing has to. How am I gonna land? How am I supposed to fly? Oh man,
where's the toggle stick to pull me up? Right? You're figuring it out. Where's the on button? Right? Oh, I didn't hook the starter switch up.
Give me what inspired you to get into the water business, because we're gonna dive right into it, man.
Yeah, man.
You've started a brand, D2O, which I want you to share with the world what D2O means.
Yeah.
And what got behind it? Because I'm going to tell you, since and I'm a water bougie guy. I love good water. And I was introduced to one. We don't have it here today, but you got the energy brand, and then you have the regular water, but the black water. Interesting. I want to dive into that black water, because that black water, man, it is when you drink that thing, that one, it cleanses you out.
Yeah.
So I want to learn a little bit about that, and then obviously I've had the energy drink, and man, I got to tell you, I've been drinking energy drinks. I've tried them all. Red Bull obviously was my first one of my favorites. Actually, before that, energy, you drink a Jolt soda. I don't know if you remember Jolts.
Jolt.
That stuff made you shaky. Jolt, and then obviously Red Bull, and then obviously other drinks. And one of the things that I fell in love with when I drank the energy drink was it's got that like a sparkling water flavor in it, with the flavor of what it comes with, right? The flavor. And then obviously the water, just the regular water, even this water, this got something. And I want you to kind of go through all of the different lines that you have here. But what got you into water? Because that's like energy drink competition. It's like getting into the coffee business, except and water. You think of like there's a market for. I mean, there is a market for water.
Yeah, yeah.
What got you there?
Yeah, man.
By the way, so everyone knows, this is the we made it as of like 2 weeks ago. We made it the official water of Mauricio Mejia Live. One, because I love the water. Two, because we're here to support the journey.
Yeah,
and I want you to share that journey because again, we've had some great conversations.
Man,
getting to this point today where we're here and we're sharing with the world, but I want people to hear this.
Yeah, man. So when you're an athlete, you see a lot of stuff in the weight in the locker room. Halftime, you got these big guys, over in the corner with IVs because they sweated all their electrolytes out. You got guys taking, double Red Bulls and other kind of products that I'm not going to name, right?
I hope all legal products.
Yeah, just to get up for the game so that they can go out there and perform.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, their body goes through a whole different transformation. So, for me, once I shut everything down, the pandemic hit, right? And so I was drinking a lot of coffee. When you're a coach, straight black, no cream, no sugar, no nothing, just to keep you up through the meetings. And I remember trying to wean myself off of coffee, and I stopped. I said, I'm not going to drink no more. Number one, it stains your teeth, and then other complications. But I was like, I'm going to stop. And I had a headache for like 3 days because of the withdrawal. So I went to the lab, and I was like, man, there has to be something. I remember as an athlete, I wanted to do 3 things, right? I wanted to be on TV, and I wanted to have my own shoe, and I wanted to have my own beverage. Those are the top 3 things that I wanted. So I started going to the lab, and then we birthed D2O. D2O stands for Discipline, Drive, and Opportunity. And then D2O stands for Dirty Water, right? Okay. So, we're a functional beverage company, and I thought, okay, I started getting into the science because I'm a geek, right? I'm a nutritionist. I had to study nutrition in order for me to reach optimum, capacity for me to perform. Yeah. And so I had to learn about all these different products, supplements, amino acids, minerals, everything. Yeah. We come up on D2O superpower called Fulvic and humic minerals. And that's when I started to dive into the benefits of this stuff and what does it do? And we were able to innovate different products, starting with water, right? Not people drink water, but they don't really drink enough water. Right. And then what is enough water? Because there are complications to drinking too much water.
Right. And then there's the understanding of what purified water, artesian waters, flavored waters, and all. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that they do to water. Sometimes some of the purified water is actually not good for you because it strips you of all your minerals, which keeps you thirsty, makes you want to drink more water. And really what you're doing is you're just
adding water to the body.
You're adding water with no real nutrients or stuff. Yeah, it's got nothing in it. It's just you're passing a liquid through.
Correct.
And making these companies wealthy. So what is the distinction here? And again, dirty water, why that's just is that a gimmick? I mean, I love it.
Well, let's be real. Everything that we have out there on the market right now is considered a dirty water, right? You have, water that has something in it. You have a soda that obviously starts off with a baseline of water. So I think the analogy for us was like we make the water dirty by putting ingredients in it that are healthy for you, that are have a functional purpose. And so all of our beverages have a functional purpose. This is our spring water. We have a spring water, which is a natural spring water, naturally alkaline. I see you about to crack that open.
Pop it live on the show, man. We're live here. Yeah, I'm telling you, it even the smell.
Oh, love it.
The aroma that comes out of it. I'm like, it's funny. I leave it in my car when it's empty because when I come back in the car, it's got that
in the
aroma.
car, right? Yeah. It's like a natural air freshener.
Exactly.
Just drink it, pop it over, leave it in there.
It's good.
Yeah, we created this energy drink because I wanted to substitute coffee. We have less than 50 milligrams of caffeine in it, so less than a cup of coffee. It has no sugars, no carbs, so we went with the health side of things, and then our active ingredient, which has a whole different absorption.
What does a cup of coffee have of caffeine?
Naturally, between 70 and 80 milligrams of caffeine.
And what would if we were to how can we give a visual of what that looks like? I mean, or what does it do to the body?
It dehydrates you. Number one.
Isn't coffee a diuretic? I mean, that's what I've heard. Right?
It is, but it also dehydrates you,
Gotcha.
right? It also forces the body to now reach for certain electrolytes to be able to continue to hydrate in certain areas. And then also it's very acidic. So when you drink coffee, it really throws off your pH balance. So as soon as you drink a cup of coffee or soda, your stomach now becomes misaligned. The perfect number in terms of pH is 7.365. And so whenever you drink that, it drops below 7.365. And whenever it drops below, you consider it really high risk for, bacteria to sit in and things to multiply in your body. Also digestion issues.
I'm learning something new every day. I've always, and then you hear about waters that are alkalinity, different levels of the pH balance and different levels of alkalinity too. I know that the regular water here is you're at a little under 8 points.
Yeah, 7.4.
7.4 on the pH balance. Alkalinity. What is? I think is it the detox. By the way, I love the
black water.
The black water detox.
We call it dark spring water.
The other day I posted on it, and I used to own a brand called Detox Sundays, which was a pool party. so
you need that.
I kind of threw it in there. I was like, detox, and if you know, right?
Yeah.
So because I know some people in my universe probably understood it. But no, I love the black can. I love the branding. I love the branding on all your products.
Thank you.
Talk to us about that black water and the Fulvic. It's called Fulvic acid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, our dark spring water, is black, and so it provides like 77 minerals plus to the body. It's naturally alkaline at 9.5 plus. It has so many healing properties. Regenerates cells, balances the pH. It's an antioxidant, reduces inflammation. It has so many properties. We tell people
my skin is
that
great
your skin, everything. We tell people that it's your lifestyle beverage, man. So when you're drinking the black can, it's something that you should get into your system every day. It should be a daily bread, right? To balance your gut health, to hydrate your cells. I tell people when you drink it at nighttime, I sleep like a baby because it curbs my appetite. I don't really crave sweets. But that dark spring water, man, is a natural detoxifier, and it's something because our food that we eat now doesn't have the nutrients that it had back in the day. I think a bowl of spinach now you have to eat 77 bowls of spinach to get one serving. Where back in the day when I grew up, it was like 10 to 12 to eat a bowl of spinach, and then it just changed over time because of the soil, right? And you keep reusing the soil. If you don't mineralize the soil, it's just not going to regenerate itself. It's much like the ocean, right? The ocean naturally pH balances itself no matter what you put in it, but it's the ocean. So all the bacteria in the ocean, they fight and work together to create, a universal system of cleansing. So it's just the thought process. Like I said, I get into
man, you got me deep in this one right now. Like I feel like I'm geeking out with you. What's the ultimate goal here with it? I mean, obviously it's to compete.
Yeah,
you got that competition and competitiveness in you.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously our goal here, and I've shared with you, man. I've fallen in love with the brand. I fallen in love with the vision that we've talked about behind. People want to find this products. Where can they find it right now? They can buy it online, I know for a fact, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. So you can go to our website, www.drinkd2o, not zero, D2O as in oxygen.com. You can also go to various marketplaces.
I was going to say something smart ass right now, but come on, man. Come on,
people.
People
say D20, man, so that's not us. So.
D2O, as in O as in ocean.
Yeah, O as in ocean.
O as in oxygen, actually.
Yeah,
Let's go there, that
absolutely.
one.
Or opportunity. But yeah, I mean, the future for us is we're going to continue to innovate our beverages. We have a bunch of SKUs that we have coming down the pipeline that we're excited to release. But right now, it's more so educating people about the power of humic and fulvic minerals. Yeah. And then, our sustainability, man. We live on 3 missions. Number 1 is innovative, health, purpose-driven drinks, period. Whatever you drink our beverage, just know that it is an aid to you, and it's going to help with a functional capacity to be able to help you become better. And then number 2 is sustainability. We don't use any plastics. We stay away from microplastics.
Yeah, man. These the quality of the bottles on all three bottles, the cans that I've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we call them Ferraris. I think we
Ferrari.
These are the Ferraris of the products that are out there. I mean, the cans, the water, and then these. I mean, they're just it's top of the line.
Yeah, we put a lot of thought into our innovation in our product, and we make sure that we put the best products in there and the best ingredients, and we don't fill it with a bunch of fillers. And so that's our mission. And then lastly, our last of our mission statement, our core values is community impact. So we do a lot of stuff outside of this, man. We build beds for communities. We did a bed build in Oakland where we built 100 beds and served 62 families that are sleeping on the floor. We do a toy drive every year. We do Boards in the Hood. We got our brother down in Arizona who does some pretty phenomenal things with the boards, blessing kids with boards. And then we look for different opportunities.
You said boards?
Skateboards.
Skateboards. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bro. All
So
right.
we're into a lot of different things
Okay.
that is different, that sets us apart. And we partner with different organizations throughout the community so that we can enhance these things. Mixed Behaviors is another one where we do a program called Amongst Athletes, where we go out and we talk to athletes and we help them understand, how to build a brand, some leadership qualities. We focus on those things because I think in our generation, a lot of our kids lack that leadership. They don't know how to be a leader.
Right.
And they think that leader only comes from one person, when really I was taught that leadership is plural.
Yeah.
Right? It's more than just one person being a leader.
It's a team.
It's a team.
It's a team.
You know,
Everyone on the team needs to lead and have their own strength in their leadership role. I think that's even what we've talked about, and kind of the vision that you've had is you have this macro vision of where you see this brand going, and then you start to recruit your players, your teammates that are going to start helping you scale this product to that next level. And I definitely see a huge future for the product. And again, I just whatever we can do together as a team, right? I mean, what I'm working on right now. I keep telling everyone I'm trying to own a professional team of something, or get in that universe, man. And I will get there. It's just one step at a time. I got to meet. What I've noticed is that as I start hitting or start clearing up some of the stuff of my past. It makes room for a lot of the newer things that are coming in. Yeah. And it seems that seems kind of the path that you're on too, right? You've put a lot of things in the past aside, some great things too, by the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes the decisions that I made are not easy ones either.
They're not.
And the sacrifices.
Yeah.
I made some personal sacrifices that, again, those were my choices, and I'll deal with it with whatever repercussion, if there is one, in the future as it may come.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? What was ultimately what was the inspiration that got you to do the water?
Yeah, it was my lifestyle. As we get older, and I put my body through the ringer when it came to sacrifices and playing the game and practice habits and eating habits. Made a lot of sacrifices not to enjoy that piece of cake, but then when I retired, I put a lot of conscious effort to enjoy that piece of cake, right, and be lazy. So for me, I think, what inspired me was to put something in my body that's actually helping me to continue to grow and heal, right? And spend more time with doing the things that I love doing as opposed to not being able to, being able to get into the weight room still. I'm not putting up the weight that I used to, but who needs to do that? I just need to be right, be strong, you know what I mean? Be able to, run, a couple miles. And, I ruptured my Achilles, 7 months ago playing basketball. And it was a movement, Mauricio, that I went back to like the day, you know what I mean? And that movement, I loaded up and so much power went through that one leg. I exploded and my Achilles exploded with me. But just being able to heal from that, right? Just through eating habits, doing the PT, listening to my doctor, and just eating right, and then drinking my dark spring water every day. It just allowed me to heal in certain capacities. So that's been the driving force behind that, man, and really just doing business with the people who I love the most, which is the other absolute joy. My partners, everybody who's along with the D2O camp, our ambassadors, our friends, our network, our family, who we're putting the beverages in, the mom and pop stores. Like, it's just all one big family, man. Yeah. We're just trying to, make sure that we all take care of each other.
What are some of the as an entrepreneur, as an elite athlete, as an elite coach, entrepreneur now, businessman, because obviously you're playing life at the highest peak. What are some of the things that you would want to share with the people that are watching right now? And they may be thinking that moment of like they're at that fork because we've been at that fork already.
Yeah.
What is something that you would coach them on?
Yeah, I would say this, man. I said something to my team that I was coaching at Mountain View High School. We were trying to learn how to win, and we were playing this team that were really good, and we were on the road, and my speech was, okay, guys, I don't remember this person who I referenced, but I looked it up, like I researched it, and I found out, I don't know if it was Alexander the Great or somebody, but what he did was he was going to take over a land, and he told his troops, he said, the only way we're going back is we're not going back. We're going to burn the ships right here. That's it. Because the only option is we're going to take over.
Yeah.
We're going to take over the land. So I, what I would say to any entrepreneur is that you got to have that mentality that no matter what, man, you're going to burn the ships, and no matter what, man, by any means necessary, we're going to get this done. And it's okay to say no as well. I had to learn how to say no to a lot of people because I don't like to say no.
Wow. By not saying no, I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I've had to find my way out of those troubles. People want to find, again, if they want to find the bottles, is it in stores right now?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're, locally right now, we're in about 18 locations throughout the Bay Area.
Okay.
In scaling. And then also you can get it online, from our website, as well as Walmart, Amazon.
Got it.
Check us out on TikTok. Follow us at Drink D2O, not zero.
Right.
D2O. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're there. Reach out, and then we're everywhere, man. We got a lot of events coming up here in the next upcoming months, and
we got a big 2026, baby.
2026
is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
We got World Cup, we got Super Bowl, we got March Madness. We got a lot of great things coming in 26, and plus, I'm part of the family now. So
absolutely,
that's
man.
it. And once I go loyal, I'm a loyal dog, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to scaling this brand with you and your team, and definitely being a part of the what's ahead. Because I think I've told you this: if you win, when you win, we all win.
Yeah,
we all win because we all get to create and enjoy that win together as a team.
I think the most funnest part, honestly, man, is like when we're putting, nothing gives me more pride and joy than to be in a situation where you can now share your experience to learn from, right? And there's a lot of new areas that we all go through in life. There's facets that, we come encounter with that, we don't know about. And the opportunity to learn about them, to understand other people's mindsets when it comes to those situations is something that I enjoy. I've always been a student of the game. I can put my pride to the side. No matter what I know, I'm the type of person that even if I know it, I'm not going to say anything to you because I'm going to ask you a question that's going to get me to think about it in another way.
That's right.
Because it's just, wow, I didn't look at it from that perspective. And I don't need to put my ego up there and be like, oh, I already knew that, right? And I think that's what got me in trouble earlier on when I was in grade school, right? It's like, oh, I already know it. I learned it one time. Even at some jobs, you learn it and you're like, oh, I already know it. I got it. And then you fail miserably at it because you didn't take the time to listen. So I'm always willing to continue to learn in our network, and we family, man, and at the end of the day, man, we all just trying to live life-driven purpose, man, and we gonna do it.
We got some things up our sleeves in 26.
Oh, yes, we do.
Want to say thank you again, making the time to come out, sharing your story, your journey.
I appreciate you.
To me, that's very important. What we do after the products and all that, this is a byproduct of our hard work, 100%. Of our consistency, and then our journey and just wanting to build things. And you're building something that it's just a matter of time. All it needs is one cool Instagram picture with somebody or something. These days are just interesting, right? Yeah. So anyhow, man, I want to thank you again for being here with us. Mauricio Mejia Live, D2O. You can look them up at drinkd2o.com. See, I got that. I already got that dialed in. Woo! You can look them up on Instagram and Facebook and other social medias. And TC, thank you again. Cheers, brother. I appreciate you for being here.
Yeah.
And sharing your energy, your life, and everything with us.
Thank
Guys,
you.
make sure to Tune in, visit the website, Mauricio Mejia Live from Studio B. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's go.
Let's go. Hustle, hydrate, repeat. Let's go. Turn your sips into purpose.
Like, comment, subscribe. Mauricio Mejia live on YouTube.